And we're about ready to go to the third quarter. USA basketball in Sapporo City, Japan, taking on Puerto Rico. Mike Krzyzewski's club leading 57-51. Hokkaido Prefectural Sports Center. With Fran Fraschilla, I'm Jim Durham. Glad to have you with us in the early morning hours of this game one for LeBron James and company. Carmelo Anthony led the Americans in scoring with 13. Carlos Arroyo led Puerto Rico with 15. And Dwayne Wade came off the bench to score 7.
You look at these guys, JD, and they start Howard and James and Wade, and as good as these players have been in their early NBA careers, there's no player on the floor right now older than 24 years of age. So you wonder how this first opportunity to play in this World Championship may be affecting a young team like this.
Puerto Rico also a young team, although, as you have mentioned, experience there with Arroyo and Ayuso, the other guard. So the third quarter underway with the U.S. in possession. Anthony couldn't get opened up. LeBron James to Wade, and a foul call.
It's hard to tell right there. It almost looked like Puerto Rico may have gone man-to-man. Now, Coach Toro in the past has switched defenses up. They played exclusively zone in the first half, but a good recognition by the USA to go right inside to Dwayne Wade.
Coach Toro told us in Las Vegas before that exhibition game that that victory by Puerto Rico over the United States in the '04 Olympics was the biggest basketball moment in Puerto Rican history. And while that's true for that particular game, their performance overall at the Olympics not that good. They had done better in the past.
Well, that one scare back in 1976,
right?
Dean Smith's club beat Butch Lee in Puerto Rico 95-94, the closest game that gold medal winning USA team had that season.
Santiago, nicely done.
Well, the pick and roll has been very effective, and it points out to me that in 3 weeks' time, it's very hard to have cohesive defensive play, and we've seen that tonight. USA not really on top of their game in the half court.
Although Chris Paul delivers there for 3.
Right now, they need to be sound in the half court, not worry about stealing the ball. Keep the ball in front of them.
And a minute into this third quarter, the U.S. up by 9, its biggest. Arroyo on the miss. Here comes LeBron James. Chris Paul circles the wagons.
Paul had just knocked down a 3, and he passed up an open 3 there to put the ball on the floor. Should have shot that ball.
This is Anthony. And the foul on Latimer.
Really good strategy right here, JD. Puerto Rico in a matchup zone. So what they've done is they've taken the ball to the weak side. They've isolated Wade and now Anthony. And even though it's a zone, it's a matchup zone. So there's a man-to-man situation there to take advantage of.
So Carmelo Anthony with 15 points working and shot 74% from the line in the exhibition run for the U.S.
I'll tell you what you love about his game. He shoots the ball from the outside, but then he's got the strength. Remember, at Syracuse, he was a power forward. So he's versatile offensively.
U.S. gets a steal here. Anthony leaves the ball for LeBron, and it's now the biggest lead for the United States, a 14-point lead, and Puerto Rico is taking a timeout. We're early in the third. 67-53 USA. So the U.S. has been able to put some distance between themselves and Puerto Rico here in the early moments of the third quarter.
Well, the one thing we talked about in the first half, if you're Puerto Rico, you want to stay within striking distance, and then the pressure goes to the U.S., but not right now.
And that was Anthony digging that one loose. In transition. Oh, what a move. LeBron James with the basket and the foul.
What a great dish by Chris Paul. And you see LeBron with the running start. And interestingly, sometimes they'll call that a travel in FIBA. Of course, they don't see that kind of athleticism every day. A great pass by Chris Paul.
Angelo Reyes has checked in, number 5 for Puerto Rico. LeBron James averaged just under 16 points a game during the 5 exhibition games.
And that's deceiving because nobody played more than 20 minutes.
I know.
Joe Johnson, 19.8.
Yep. So now a 16-point lead for the U.S. after leading by just 6 at the half.
Much more aggressive trap that time on Arroyo. Maybe a halftime adjustment.
And the U.S. getting a good recovery there defensively. Well, Carmelo Anthony has been terrific, hasn't he?
On both ends.
Yes.
There's the dribble penetration.
It was Howard and James who were there to meet Ayuso at the rim.
How about Howard's effect on the defensive end tonight?
That's against the shot clock, and the three-pointer goes down.
Larry Ayuso, not only can he beat you with the dribble, but he has always been an outstanding deep shooter. In fact, that was really his strength as a younger player and not the penetration.
Anthony. Saved in play by the U.S. Now a loose one, and Puerto Rico in possession.
Uh-oh.
Let's see, that quick shot's going to lead to this at the other end. Dwayne Wade on the payoff end of it. Wade has 11.
Well, this USA team has a lot of firepower, and very shortly we'll see Mike Krzyzewski. It's interesting now, he hadn't subbed as quickly in the second half, and we talked about, you know, sometimes you get a little more continuity, JD, when you let these guys play a few more minutes.
But on the other hand, he did use about everybody in the first half, so everyone's had a taste of this game.
Everybody's broken a sweat.
Wade called for the foul. That's his second.
I do think as the tournament goes on, particularly you get into that final 16 or 8, probably want to go with a solid 8 or 9.
And now we get a double foul called.
This is where if you're a player right now, you just want to keep your cool because you don't know these officials and they don't know you. So hand gestures. You see the two off the ball. Howard.
It's like Howard and Santiago picking up the double foul. It's 3 on Howard, and I have 4 on Santiago.
You know, unlike NBA officials, they don't really know these guys and they don't know their peculiarities.
But Santiago is remaining on the floor, and that's a good follow by Reyes.
Reyes, a young man, getting the opportunity because of the injury to Sharif Fajardo.
And the U.S. gets another attempt here. Last touch by Puerto Rico. A little over 6 minutes left, and in Group B tonight, Germany defeated Japan. Dirk Nowitzki with 27 points and 10 rebounds for Germany in their 10-point win over the host country. That's another team, Germany, with one of the top players in the NBA performing. Oh, nice.
And coast to coast and a little breakdown that time. USA slow in transition.
And Arroyo has 17.
How about Dirk Nowitzki? 104 games last season, playoffs and regular season, and 3 weeks later he's back practicing with the German national team.
But that's the way he's been all during his basketball life. So Ayuso delivering again from long range.
As I mentioned, this young man, Roswell, New Mexico, played at New Mexico Junior College, played for Bill Walton's teammate Henry Bibby at USC, and he could really do this, JD. Always been a great shooter. Played in Europe, plays in the Puerto Rican Professional League. Young man we talked about from the South Bronx.
And Arroyo, his running mate in the backcourt, has scored 17 tonight. Ayuso with 11, so that's 28 of their 61 from the starting guard line. And Heinrich handling as Lebanon defeats Venezuela tonight in Group A by 10.
When you think of all that, that team had to leave their country prematurely, so
right.
All the things going on over there.
The United States had a 16-point lead earlier in this third quarter. And now Puerto Rico with a chance to get the deficit down to 10 or 9 with a long one. Ramos. Anthony out on the move. And it's Arroyo bringing it back the other way for Puerto Rico. What's that expression? Talk on defense?
Well, you saw that double team again. They're not going to let Arroyo beat them off the dribble in that pick and roll.
It's Ramos getting his shot blocked. How about a three from Joe Johnson? Only his third of the game.
From the same spot. And I'll tell you, that speaks to Mike D'Antoni's running game. Mike Krzyzewski has given Mike D'Antoni a lot of leeway in the offense. Of course, Joe Johnson should know that offense.
That's right, having played for Mike D'Antoni at Phoenix. And now we get a foul called on the United States.
You've got a 15-point lead if you're Mike Krzyzewski. The mindset has to be right now to put this Puerto Rico team away, to send a message not only to them, JD, but the teams in the rest of this tournament.
Shane Battier and Chris Bosh have returned for the U.S.
And this is not the best backcourt they will see in this tournament, as good as Ayuso and Arroyo have played tonight.
Number 8, Apodaca, making the inbounds. And Arroyo guarded by Heinrich. That's Apodaca.
Yep. Young man from Hofstra University in New York. 18 points a game as a senior. Another one of those New York kids that are playing on this Puerto Rico national team.
3-point field goals, keeping Puerto Rico within striking distance. Time's a wasting for the U.S. Elton Brand under to Bosh, and a foul on Ramos.
Well, and you see how quickly Puerto Rico has gotten it back to 8 because of that shooting you mentioned.
And with, let's see, 13 minutes and 36 seconds left, the United States hasn't been able to shake them yet. Chris Bosh really developing with the Raptors. Another one from the class of 03, the NBA draft class of 03.
Pretty good.
Yes, it is. There may come a day in the future when we talk about that 03 class in the same kind of reverence as the 1984 class of the NBA. Great players in that class. And off the drive by Ayuso, a goaltend scored the basket, I guess.
Well, once again, dribble penetration now becoming that Achilles heel for the U.S.
That was Arroyo scoring, and now it's Brand returning to the scoring ledger for the U.S. at just a 9-point lead. If you're joining us late, the U.S. was up 16 earlier in this third quarter. More penetration into the lane, and now Ayuso limps away from that. Dwayne Wade called for the foul. 3 on him. There's that class of 03.
There you go. Yep. Of course, LeBron 1, Carmelo 3, Dwayne Wade 5. Kirk Heinrich picked 7th by the Bulls. And don't forget Darko Milicic, who has started to play well.
And is in this tournament.
In this tournament for Serbia and Montenegro. He's really had a good pre-tournament run for that young Serbia team.
Hokkaido Prefectural Sports Center seats about 8,000 for basketball. And that's Elton Brand denying the drive to the rim by Reyes, but a technical foul call on Puerto Rico.
Well, Coach Toro got that technical foul early in the exhibition game, and I've been there. I know what that's like. Emotional guy. Of course, his team mirrors his passion, the way they play.
And so Heinrich will shoot 2.
Kirk Heinrich, great Kansas guard, played for his dad, Jim Heinrich, in high school.
Kirk Heinrich with the 2 free throws, 8 points in the game.
I think he's probably the least likely guy anybody thought would make this USA team, but he's played very, very well.
Now, when you look at that Bulls team and how they got to the playoffs 2 years in a row, nice move by Bosch.
Used the right hand and he used the rim as well.
Bosch with his first field goal, and now Chicago adding Ben Wallace to that mix.
Hey, and Tyrus Thomas, the number 2 pick from LSU, and in fact, they've got an international player, Thabo Cephalosha, who had a terrific summer league, a 6'6" wing player.
6 points for Reyes, by the way, as Puerto Rico stays within 11. And a foul call on Arroyo. 2 fouls on Arroyo. So look at that setup by Reyes. And Kirk Heinrich back to the line.
Tell you what I love about that Bulls team, and you add Ben Wallace to a team that already is a tough team.
2 years in a row, led the league in defensive field goal percentage.
Yep. And I'll tell you
now
why.
they get a defensive player of the year.
And there's a guy in this tournament, Andres Nocioni,
yes,
who was terrific in the playoffs, 22 points a game for the Bulls. You talk about a warrior.
About 2 minutes left in the third. And the personal foul here. Offensive foul.
An illegal screen down on the baseline.
That's 4 fouls on Ramos.
See that zone, USA getting more and more comfortable.
Tipped away by Reyes. Christian Dalmau out to Arroyo for 3, and underneath a foul on Reyes. Angelo Reyes trying to get rebound position.
Puerto Rico not with the depth that the USA has. That's been a little bit of a factor.
And that's going to be a factor for just about every team they play.
That's right. Yep.
You know, even the teams that have the great NBA players.
You're right.
Well, they have either a or maybe 2 great NBA players, but they don't have that depth, that 12-man depth like the United States.
There are 2 teams in this tournament, in my mind, they're not as talented as the United States, but they have similar kinds of depth, Argentina and Greece. But certainly you're right, France starts 4, no, now 3 NBA players because Tony Parker's finger.
Out,
yeah. We won't see Tony Parker in this tournament.
1:30 left in the third. Didn't it seem like just a minute or so ago it was an 8-point game?
Yep.
Well, it
may be an 8-point game.
12-point game right now. I thought he had a 3 on that one, actually. Ramos the rebound, and with about a minute remaining, this is Dalmau.
Four experienced guards for Puerto Rico. Dalmau gives them depth in the backcourt.
And away from the ball, we get a whistle down on the baseline.
You know, of course, Puerto Rico being a commonwealth of the United States, you really got to marvel at the way they play because it's like being a state.
Right.
It's like having, it's like playing the state of Virginia.
Chris Paul returning to the lineup. for the U.S. And Arroyo on the free throw line for Puerto Rico has made all 5 of his free throw attempts tonight. 19 points. Now he's got 20.
And would you expect anything less from the guy, you know?
But you're right about it. His reputation has been that of inconsistency in his NBA career.
That's right.
But he can still be a very good player.
Well, and he can be mercurial. I know he did not get along with Jerry Sloan.
And I can see why that was.
Right, 2 headstrong guys.
10-point game. Less than a minute for the third. Elton Brand has picked it up. Battier. And it's Joe Johnson for 3. Finally misses one. Bosch there for the follow. And the foul will put Bosch on the line.
Is that it for Ramos? Is that 5?
Yes, it is. Ramos with just 2 points tonight. Finding his way to the sideline. And now they make the announcement that he has indeed fouled out of the game.
Still developing young man. Washington Wizards took him in the 2nd round. Actually played pretty well, as we mentioned, in that NDBL, but very mechanical. Not a great athlete, but at 7'3", sometimes you may not have to be always.
Chris Bosch, who started for the United States against Puerto Rico in Las Vegas at the center position. So back to a 12-point lead. Ball loose, but recovered by Puerto Rico. Now they don't have that size inside.
Now, you get one shot right here, and I think that's what Mike Krzyzewski's calling for.
Absolutely.
Yep, good play.
No shot clock involved. The final seconds of the third. Shane Battier with 6 seconds left. And as Paul made the move, there was contact. And that foul is on Bobby Joe Hatton, who came into the game a moment ago, his first.
Coached against that young man. He played at Marist College up in Poughkeepsie, New York, and when I was coaching in Manhattan, we had to try to guard him. He's turned into a nice player.
Chris Paul has a chance to put the United States up by 14 after 3. Nope. Time runs out. The third quarter has come to an end. Well, the U.S. took a 6-point halftime lead and pushed it out to 16. Puerto Rico came back. They had it down to 8. But it's still the U.S. up by double digits at the end of 3. Fourth quarter underway with the United States up 13, and in the first possession for Puerto Rico, a foul. LeBron James has his second personal.
Well, Ricky Apodaca will be able to tell his grandkids about that. LeBron knocked him down and then helped him up.
Just underway here in the fourth. The Nike storyline, a 16-point game working for Carmelo Anthony. And Carlos Arroyo has led Puerto Rico and leads all scorers with 23. The overall depth of the U.S. having its toll against Puerto Rico, although still they're getting penetration to the rim. And on the rebound, finally cleared by Howard. And Carmelo Anthony gets 2 more, so that's 18 for Anthony.
Now Carmelo has done it every different way tonight. He's knocked down the 3, he's posted up inside, and then there you see the versatility of the catch and drive and the foul. The opportunity to make it a 3-point play.
Narvaez picking up the foul is first.
You know, with so much hype about Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, JD, you get the feeling that this tournament is going to skyrocket Carmelo back into that stratosphere where he really was coming into the league.
Yeah.
A couple of off the court minor issues clouded that, but certainly he's been a man on a mission.
Absolutely. And, you know, the competition between those three now has become one of, well, who's got the rings?
Yep.
Well, Wade has one, and the others don't have any. But they're going to want theirs, too. Oh, nice. Howard staying with it. It was kept alive by LeBron James.
Well, and again, you see the effort on the backboard. Great hustle, and Dwight Howard's strength right now is his strength.
This 18-point lead is the biggest for the U.S., and here they come trying to add to it. It's Carmelo Anthony giving the United States a 20-point lead and apparently sending them on to victory in Game 1. 8.5 remaining. The WNBA playoffs continue later today with a pair of Game 2 matchups on ABC and ESPN2. First, 3:30 Eastern on ABC. Cheryl Swoops leads the Houston Comets into Sacramento to take on the Monarchs. Yolanda Griffith, the star. Then at 6 on ESPN2, the Detroit Shock host the Indiana Fever. And in Sapporo City, Japan, the United States with a 20-point lead on Puerto Rico. 8:20 left.
You realize this is 94 points in about 32 minutes.
Yes. And at the half, let's see, they were at a 114-point pace. So they're probably right about there. Howard is fouled before he can put it down.
And there will be a lot of things from this game tape that Mike Krzyzewski can use to build on defensively and continue them to improve.
And what can the opponents build on from this game tape in terms of how to play the U.S.?
Well, the one thing you've got to do is take care of the basketball in the half court and not let not let the U.S. in transition.
How about that? Australia, a 6-point winner over Brazil. Remember, it was Brazil who played the United States a 4-point game in the exhibition season. The United States participating here in the preliminaries of Group D with Puerto Rico. Their opponent tonight also China, Italy, Slovenia, and Senegal.
Remember this, JD. That Group C has got a deep group, and that could be Brazil or Australia in the third or fourth. But obviously, the U.S. is the favorite to win this group.
And so, therefore, they would be playing the 4th seed out of C.
And it's a good bracket. You look at Australia, Brazil, Greece, Lithuania, Turkey, and Qatar.
Trying to go inside and nothing doing that time. And Puerto Rico in transition. And Hatton scores to make it a 17-point game.
Mike Krzyzewski right now is concerned about how they finish this game. The outcome doesn't look in doubt, but certainly you want to play the 40 minutes, and I bet you'll see some opportunities for some other people here shortly.
Well, a turnover there by Wade. We've already seen in this game Puerto Rico's ability to hit the three, and especially Ayuso, who is 3 of 4 from long range, so they can put some points up quickly. Apodaca. Nice feed inside and a foul called. Oh, it's a goaltend. Score the basket. Reyes gets credit for the hoop.
Dribble penetration again. Something Mike Krzyzewski will definitely emphasize.
See, the ball touched the backboard, and like the NBA, you can't touch it now. If it's up there on the rim,
you can knock it off.
Yeah, you can do that.
Absolutely.
As Wade made the drive, a foul against Puerto Rico. We talked about Group D, in which the U.S. is competing. China, they defeated them soundly in the exhibition. Italy was a team that actually upset a United States team in an exhibition game in 2004. Puerto Rico tonight. Senegal, Slovenia.
Italy
rounded out. Italy.
Yep. Italy is without 5 of its top 6 scorers from the European Championship a year ago. And remember, Andrea Bargnani, the #1 pick in the NBA draft, opted not to play this summer to prepare for his first NBA season with the Toronto Raptors.
Well, you saw there 2 free throws by Wade, and a look at Peter Ramos, who is fouled out for Puerto Rico. Ball loose. Picked up by Paul.
So you got to shoot that. You have to shoot that. Chris Paul trying to make the unselfish play, and he pats his chest and tells Mike Krzyzewski, my fault. You just got to try to score right here. You don't need to be flashy. You don't need any highlights.
And it was a good play by LeBron James to get down and clean it up.
That's what I talked about, finishing strong right now. Regardless of the outcome, you want to play the game the way you're going to need to play it later on in this tournament.
Howard the rebound. The U.S. trying to extend on the 19-point lead. They've led by as many as 20. And now it's Puerto Rico in transition. Yep, and a foul.
A nice move by Apodaca. Looked like he took that third step.
And the foul is on LeBron James. So the U.S. tomorrow morning at 6:30 taking on China here on ESPN2. Then it's Slovenia, Italy, and Senegal to round out play in Group D.
Slovenia with Rasho Nesterovic, Boston Nakbar, who's been in the NBA, Primo Brezic, Eno Udre from the Spurs, so pretty good club.
Ball out of bounds. 5:25 left.
I mentioned the guards. Spain has a backcourt of Juan Calderon of the Raptors,
right,
and Juan Carlos Navarro, who makes so much money in Spain that he can't afford to play in the NBA right now, but that might be the second best backcourt in this
I
tournament.
didn't think that was possible.
Well, he can't get out of his buyout.
Okay.
See, he can't. He's got a $2.5 million a year buyout.
Right. There's the 3 ball, and it rattles in, and it's a 14-point game.
Now, Philly Rivera, a young man that played at UTEP for Billy Gillespie.
He's hit 2 threes tonight.
Yeah, he was the last man added to this club.
Chris Paul gets into a 3. And out of bounds to the United States.
Puerto Rico's like that dog that gets a hold of your pant leg and doesn't let go. Very feisty.
That's the way they've been tonight. You're right. And the steal off the inbounds, and now a foul against the U.S. It's on Chris Bosh.
Tell you, one of the worst feelings you can have as a coach is when you have a 20-point lead and you wind up winning by 6 or 8. That's why I mentioned earlier it's very important that the USA finishes this strong.
Because when that happens, then you, like the next day or the next practice you have, you kind of get into your team a little bit, and they're like looking at you like, wait, we won.
That's exactly right. Exactly.
Underneath a foul on the United States. And you see Julio Toro, the head coach of Puerto Rico. And this will be his final tournament as the head coach of Puerto Rico. Kirk Heinrich back in the lineup for the U.S.
Oh, good play. See, that's a breakdown defensively on the weak side.
It's a 12-point game with 4:19 left. Puerto Rico applying the press. Heinrich left open.
It's a dangerous situation right now for Team USA. The defense has not been solid.
A 3-point field goal makes it a 9-point game. There's a block by Battier. And then Paul was fouled, preventing the thrust up the court. Apodaca called for the foul.
Well, we've seen Shane Battier tonight, not very often, but we've seen him dive on the floor. That time the block shot. Top 10 in the NBA last year in charges taken. Be a nice fit with the Houston Rockets.
Yes, he will.
Good passer.
But the The big thing for the Rockets, of course, is getting a healthy Yao Ming back. And so, you know, with that in mind, Heinrich knocks out the 3 to put the U.S. up by 15. With that in mind, Fran, I think this is good for Yao Ming to be playing in this tournament. I think because of his injury, he'll be farther ahead for the Rockets training camp than he would have been had he not played in this tournament.
I think you're right, Jim, and I think they are glad to see him on the court. This is a guy that averaged 23 and 10 a year ago.
No basket on that circus shot by Apodaca.
I told you at the very beginning of this game.
That definitely would have counted in the NBA.
FIBA officiating is uneven. It's not that it's just that you never know what you're going to get. And well, you can't.
That's a good clean shot. All right, now they do count the basket.
It's the same guy that waved it off was the same official that went and counted it, and that's what we talked about. You're going to get this kind of officiating throughout this tournament, and you got to play through it.
Well, here's what happened. They were going to put him on the line anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're going to put him on the line, that means you've called the foul in the act of shooting.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So if he's in the act of shooting, you've got to score the basket.
That's called deductive reasoning. And you see that zone again.
Chris Paul. Remember, you can do that.
Yeah.
Paul out to Johnson, who's been red hot from 3, but he misses on this one. And then a foul called on the United States. It's a shame because it's Battier on the floor hustling, and he's called for the foul.
Well, 12-point lead with this type of firepower from these Puerto Rico guards. You don't want to take a deep breath just yet.
But you know what? It was a play like that by Battier that I think would make that U.S. coaching staff feel comfortable with a 12-point lead.
Yeah.
Because they are still getting after it. Rivera shooting 2.
I have a feeling 2 guys Mike Krzyzewski is going to lean on more and more out throughout this tournament are going to be Battier and Joe Johnson because of Johnson's versatility.
What's the call here? It's against Puerto Rico. So the United States with less than 3 minutes remaining, up by a dozen. Heinrich handling it. Here's Joe Johnson. And it's Heinrich with an open 3. Ooh, nice. And it's Battier on the tap.
Once again, Shane Battier with the effort and the energy. Talk about role players on this team. He's the ultimate role player.
And that 3 goes down. So Puerto Rico hanging around. Carmelo Lee hitting that. The U.S. though content to take as much time off as possible each trip. Heinrich fouled out on the perimeter. Narvaez. 2 fouls on him. He's had to come in and play a lot of minutes after Ramos fouled out. But he's another one of the youngsters on this team.
Yep, getting valuable international experience.
Carlos Arroyo has had a big offensive night sitting on the sideline.
See, there were 2 things that really worried me about USA coming into this tournament, Jim. And we know the attitude's been great. We know the leadership has been great. But 2 things. Can you build a cohesive team offensively and defensively in a 3-week period? And then everybody on this team except for Battier is the top or second scorer on their NBA team. Can a scorer become a role player in 3 weeks? And if they do that, I think they're in good shape. But tonight we've seen glimpses of the defense not being as good as it needs to be.
And from wire to wire, dribble penetration has been the Achilles heel. That was Bobby Joe Hatton scoring on the drive, but Mike Krzyzewski and company have things well in hand. Don't forget, tomorrow morning at 6:30 on ESPN2, the United States taking on China in Game 2.
For those of us NBA draft junkies, you'll see Yi Jinlin, a 19-year-old 6'10 forward, outstanding player.
Yao Ming is back, although not playing at his all-star level. He is back nonetheless, performing for China. Wang Zhuzhu, who has been in the NBA. Joe Johnson got a 3 blocked. It ends up in Heinrich's hands. And now Puerto Rico with 1:25 left. Still dangerous on the perimeter, and look at Bosch out defending. Oh, this is something.
Yeah.
Chris Bosch defending against a guard out beyond the three-point stripe.
That will be in the highlight package when Mike Krzyzewski shows this team the good and the bad of the half-court defense tonight. Good solid effort by Bosch.
So with less than a minute remaining, the United States on its way to avoiding the first game upset by Puerto Rico, which of course plagued the 04 team in Athens. They were never the same in that tournament once that happened.
And I think because of the youth of this USA team, they will continue to get better. But trust me, Jim, the competition will get tougher.
Less than half a minute remaining. And a nice play by Dalmau.
All those guards have that Steve Nash runner, that little floater.
The U.S. can take it all the way off here with 13 seconds left. Nice move by Paul. Five seconds remaining. And the perimeter shot by Rivera.
Well, 101 points the USA gave up, so that will be concern for Mike Krzyzewski, but very potent offensively.
They had 10 more. The U.S., which averaged 110 in its 5 exhibition games, opens play in the FIBA World Championship with a 111-100 win over Puerto Rico.